Great. Okay. We are ready to go. This committee was formed by the executive committee. Chairman Winslow asked that our two past chairs, Mr. Spoonhauer and Reverend Nelson, serve as members of the nominating committee for this year. We do not have a chair and a vice chair of the committee. Certainly would be very happy if one of you would like to take the lead, but I'm also happy to facilitate this meeting if that's helpful.
I'm fine with you taking the lead, Martha.
Okay. So we do have members of the committee attending virtually today, which is permitted pursuant to the City of Richmond's continuing state of emergency. So we are in compliance with the Virginia Code and its permission for members of a public body to participate virtually. And we have the citations for that posted on our website. So we'll do introductions of those that are participating in the meeting today. I'm Martha Heater. I'm the Executive Director of PlanRVA. And Eric, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Eric Gregory. I'm legal counsel to PlanRVA.
So we're the two folks that are here in the boardroom as the physical location, and then we've got our two committee members online virtually today. Reverend Nelson, you want to go first, and then Mr. Spoonhauer do introductions?
Sure. Tyrone Nelson, member of the commission and board of supervisor member in Henrico County.
Hey everybody, I'm Neil Spoonhauer, supervisor in Goochland County and member of PlanRVA and past chair.
Great, thanks. We do have Sid and Gilbreth in the background. I think they're here for just tech support and note-taking purposes, but they're also here on the line with us. So Gilbreth Gogel and Sid Kumar. So first order of business, really the purpose for this committee, we really convene this committee just once or twice a year. So this committee is formed, I would say, on an ad hoc basis each year in preparation for the presentation of the slate of officers. Just to give you both kind of a rundown and those that might be paying attention from home. Historically speaking, we have a slate of, well, let me take a step back. Our charter and bylaws set up an executive committee that is membered by one person appointed by the local governing bodies of each of the 9 member jurisdictions. So the executive committee is 9 persons in total. And our historic rotation of officers has been created to provide each locality who has a representative on the executive committee to take a turn in the officer seats. So we do have 3 officer positions. Those are described in our bylaws, which were included in the packet. And that is the chair, the vice chair, rather 4, chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and the treasurer. And we have historically rotated through. So both of you are, I think, intimately familiar with the most recent history, but I did put together in the packet and shown on the screen here the current officers with Chesterfield's Chris Winslow as the chair, Hanover's Sean Davis as vice chair, Powhatan's Mike Byerly as treasurer, and New Kent's as secretary, Mrs. Patricia Page. And I also did put together about a 10-year history so that you could see the rotation. It's not a perfect process. We've, I think, always tried to be flexible with the local jurisdictions and their appointees to make sure that they were interested and prepared to slot into the chair role. So as you can see, we have achieved all 9 of the localities over the last 10 years in some way, shape, or form. But some of the localities have had more spots at more times at that spot than others. So the job of the nominating committee is to make a recommendation for the officers for fiscal year 2023. To my knowledge, Mr. Davis, Mr. Byerly, and Mrs. Page are planning to continue to serve on the commission board. They were appointed, if you will, or ratified as members of the executive committee back in January as appointments from their local governments. And so I would presume, not having had any individual conversations with them most recently, but would presume that each one of them are going to continue in their executive committee spot, and that Mr. Davis, I do believe, is prepared to assume the role of chair in the coming year. That would allow Mr. Byerly to move into the vice chair role and Mrs. Page to move into the treasurer role, which she has held actually a couple of times now in the last few years. So the question at hand would be, if you want to move that kind of current slate up, promote them, if you will, in the role, then who would take on the next slot as secretary? And as you can see, there's not a clear-cut rotation, but I believe Ashlyn would be the next kind of in the queue as I look through the order, if you will, dating back to 2011. So I'll take a pause there and see if committee members have any thoughts.
Well, Ms. Heater, so obviously we want to make sure that while we are seeing people's names, it's really, we should be speaking in terms of localities because it's the localities position. So just kind of want to make that point of order. Because they could assume the position, and then like we saw with CVTA, it could be changed when the local boards do their own planning for the year. But I would follow your recommendation of asking each one to slide up a position, and then Ashland does seem like they're next in line to hop onto that officer's slate. So I would be completely fine with that.
Question.
Yes.
George Spagna was Ashland, right?
He was.
So how did Ashland rotate back in so quickly?
So he never was the chair. He was the treasurer, if I'm not mistaken, Reverend Nelson, during your term. And then when Dr. Spagna did not run again in that May election for the town, that's when Dan McGraw joined. And that was the same year that Mr. Spoonhauer leapt forward, actually didn't serve in any of the officer roles and leapt forward immediately to chair just because of.
Yeah. So I thought Spagna was my vice chair though. He wasn't?
You are correct. I apologize. Yeah, he was your vice chair your year. So he did serve treasurer and then vice chair. And then that would have been when McGraw would have slotted in and Ashland took a pass essentially.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm slightly confused, but I guess I see how Ashland, because
yeah, I mean, this has been sort of the question is if a locality passes on the chair, do they have to wait 9 years to come back around, or do they get to slot back in? And it would appear to me that we've handled that both ways.
Okay. So because potentially Town of Ashland could jump in, I would assume. So what is so it's chair, vice chair. Okay, so Davis will move up, Ballard move up, Page will move up, then Ashland will move into secretary.
Mm-hmm.
So potentially Davis after next year will rotate off, and then Hanover will be right back in the rotation again.
If we followed this, yes,
Unless we skip Hanover and Goochland,
yeah,
and jump to Powhatan.
Yeah. Or, well, Powhatan would already be then in the chair role, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely has gotten a little tangled.
Yeah, it has, yeah. Okay, I'm fine with Ashland. It's just,
right.
Spagna would have been chair when Spoonhauer was chair.
Right.
So it's like Ashland is moving back up kind of quickly, but it's all good. Let's go with it.
Would you all like me to reach out to each of these persons, keeping in mind what Mr. Spoonhauer mentioned, that we're asking them to confirm that the locality is prepared to take that seat, and then if they are in fact the person from that locality?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I can do that, Eric, just from kind of a process perspective. If those all come back in the affirmative, is it okay for me to just notify the members of the committee? Do they need to reconvene, or?
Well, they'll be making their report at the July meeting, which will be the slate. So it appears that they have a slate essentially. they would just make a motion at that July meeting to nominate the slate.
Okay,
So they don't need to take action to you know, formalize the
Okay.
slate now. They can just take that action to nominate the slate, assuming that they all
Everyone says yes.
are open to it, yes.
would one of you like to represent the committee in making that nomination of the slate?
We're at the next meeting?
Yes,
Sure.
it is.
One of us will do it, I'm certain.
That would be July, what,
It would be July 14th.
Tyrone, you're on the executive committee, right?
Yes.
I'm not, so why don't you go ahead and do it?
Okay, got it.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I think that concludes the business that we had planned unless there are any other matters to bring before the committee.
No, ma'am. So you're gonna reach out before?
Yes, I'll reach out to each of them in order
Okay.
and confirm, and then we'll circle back to the three of you to confirm my findings.
Who was the third person? I'm sorry. Who was the third person?
So I will reach out to,
No. You say the three of us on the committee.
oh, I'm sorry, I was including Eric in that, just to keep
Oh,
him in
okay,
the loop.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
but if you by chance have one of those members who says no, they're not ready, the nominating committee may need to meet
Yeah,
again.
and so I'll do this as soon as possible, so that we
Would
can.
would it be prudent to have a backup for
Oh, that's
Mr. for Ashland?
Yeah, so if
Mr.
Ashland isn't interested, would you like to?
I mean, if Ashland is not interested, then it looks like Gucci is back up.
I think it'd be Hanover.
No, well, Hanover already has somebody in the rotation though.
Oh, they do.
Yeah. Yeah, they'd have the chair, so if Ashland's not interested, then we could,
But it feels
Or
just looking out for Henrico. Henrico doesn't like, Henrico got skipped, it looks like.
no, what about Charles City? Looks like it might be Charles City.
yeah.
Yeah,
We can-
Floyd Miles was the chair before me. So
Yes, he was.
I was on his, I think it was me, Dorothy, and Floyd, if I can remember.
That's right. Yeah, well, and Dr. Nugo was in the mix too.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, we could approach Mr. Atkins. He's the new appointee from Charles City County. He's taken Mr. Coda's spot.
Okay.
If necessary. Okay.
That works.
Sounds good to me.
Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate your time this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Take care.
Have a
Thank
good one. Bye. Sid, we're done if you want to end the meeting.